We got another basic logic video.
All the online right are rejoicing with the supposed death of what is being called Woke 1.0.
I thought we already went over this. Woke 1.0 was just the slightly annoying people that we have today that have gone full retard.
At long last, people, even on the left, are finally admitting that the 2010s were complete insanity. Finally.
Oh shit, I forgot. I was kind of one of the liberals back then. So maybe I didn't notice. But okay, in retrospect, nothing like it is today. Okay? At least from my perspective. But I'll listen to what Basic Logic has to, his take on this.
We can answer questions like, what is a woman? Without having a circular definition. Finally, we can admit that putting men in combat sports against women...
Oh, okay. So he has a different definition of what I consider woke 1. Okay. All right. I could go with that.
...is not wise. Men are now allowed to part their legs when they sit down, free from judgment. No more Zers.
Do you guys remember that fucking BuzzFeed video? And I believe it, yeah, H3H3 Productions. The whole fucking men with their legs slightly open on bus stops or like in bus seats or some shit. That was the dumbest fucking video. I swear to God, they just were like, man, once they went with that patriarchy is bad nonsense, they just went with it hard. And the thing is see, that's what I mean. That's what I mean by like woke 1. It was like the subtle, like, okay, I get it. Be more respectful, be a little nicer, whatever. And then it just slowly became more ridiculous. And then 2020 happened. And then everyone really did lose their mind.
Them pronouns. No more drag queen story hours.
Those still exist, but they're definitely being limited. And I believe Trump signed something today, or he put a notice out to schools to stop, transing the kids. Who would have thought?
We have the entire right celebrating, we have the left playfully reflecting on their past convictions, and we even have the LGB telling the T to be normal. Ironic. So, did we do it? Did we win the culture war?
Okay, if I were to guess, did we win the culture war? I think we're still in it. I don't think, as long as we keep the momentum that we have now. And like I said, I don't consider myself a conservative. I don't consider myself a liberal. I consider myself an independent. It's not left. It's not right. It's what's reasonable. But the woke shit needs to go. Like, absolutely. It needs to die in a fire. Have we? No. No, it has not been defeated. But it is smoldering.
No. Actually, this is a sign of the right's defeat. Something that many, including myself, warned would happen if things continued the way they were going. And in this video, I go over why that is, and the actual political drive behind Woke 1.0's death. And if you enjoyed, consider subscribing, it helps the channel. I said in one of my earliest videos that a right-wing revolution was inevitable. By right-wing here, I actually mean anti-woke.
Oh, that's actually an interesting... yeah, actually, I think that's correct. I think that when you see these people that go, oh, the anti-woke, they just always say, like, right-wing people. And no, there's a lot of Democrats out there. They're like, wait, what the fuck happened? Like, one day I was inside and I grilled some beef, and I came outside and then I was yelled at for eating it. Like, what the hell? But yeah, I think I guess you can say that anti-woke doesn't necessarily mean right-wing. Yeah. Yeah, that tracks.
Reasoning was as follows. With the left's mass importation of peoples from the third world, who, by themselves, tend to be very hostile to woke ideology, the liberals signed their own death warrant. The woke left somehow believed that these people, known for their tribalism and religious extremism, would perfectly parrot the liberal worldview. They didn't.
No, because everyone thought that because they think that Western beliefs, which is, hey, some of you atheists out there, I'm technically an atheist. I've been dabbling back into kind of Christianity a little bit, but Neither here nor there. Western values are Christian values. You can be an atheist and still believe in Christian values because those are Western values. And for some reason, along the line, people started deciding, because everything was safe, that everyone had these universal beliefs. And that's just not the case.
As should have been obvious. This means that as the third world population grows in the West and becomes a...
Oh, we got a comedian here. I'm thinking about going to school dressed like a femboy and I'm nervous as fuck. Okay. You do you, dude. I'm not your parent. Talk to your dad. But I'm pretty sure that you're a troll. So that means you are going to get banned. So either you're a troll or you're too young for this. Bye. Oh, wait, that one kid is still here. I actually didn't ban him. There we go. All right, back to content.
Decisive voter bloc, they would turn on the woke liberals who enabled them and try to...
That's what happened to Dearborn, Michigan. They put them all in one place, and then slowly but surely, within the last 20 years, it is now a full-blown Muslim town. And they don't like white people. They don't like gay people. they don't like any Western values whatsoever. And it is basically Sharia law over there. Not even basically, it is.
Impose their own worldview, as, by the way, has already happened in several cities and states. We're in a situation where many Western European countries will become minority European within only 1 to 3 generations, with most capitals already undergoing that switch. America has just a bit longer. On screen, you're seeing some of the statistics on this, caused by a mix of low fertility among locals due to both cultural factors and economic policy, and the unrelenting immigration numbers, as well as the high fertility among foreigners due to their own distinct culture.
We need to get rid of them now. All the illegals, all the people that came over borders, and I'm not talking about just America. America, Canada, Mexico needs to get their shit together. England needs to get their shit together. All the European countries basically need to get their shit together. Especially, oh my God, have you guys seen France? It's a fucking war zone. In Paris. Everything is... everyone's like, oh, I come from the hood. And I'm like, dude, I've seen the hood before, never lived in it. But what I'm seeing in Paris is like a drug paradise.
And being the beneficiaries of the West's disastrous welfare policies. Therefore, if things continue as is, the West will be remade in the third world's image within the coming decades. Naturally, that means there are only 2 broad political positions that still matter. Either A, the third world, or B, the dissident right.
And the thing is, look, would universal healthcare be pretty fucking rad? Yeah, it would be. Sure. I think that would be a good. I'm not sure how we would get there. But for now, because of our capitalist system, we actually have efficient healthcare. Now, probably the only one that I would say, there's a few countries that I think have pretty decent socialized healthcare, and there's others that are just complete garbage. But let's just say people want, universal healthcare here now. They want Medicare for all and all that shit. Okay, if that is your dream, you cannot ask the majority of people who are working to pay for that with their taxes and then have this migrant class come in who no one knows, who we're finding out, really dangerous people. A lot of them are sucking off our welfare system. Look at the Somalians. 80% of them aren't fucking working. They're just getting handouts over and over and over again. And the thing is, that is not sustainable. If you want universal healthcare in the United States of America, it is not sustainable to have illegal migrants, 20 million in just a few years, cross the border, and then expect money to just fall out of the sky, and they get all the Medicare, and then the people who are working don't get it. Make that make sense. You can't have it both ways.
Who oppose their presence and the current establishment that enabled their mass importation.
Yep.
Everything else is secondary until this is resolved. And regardless of who would win in such a situation, they will be anti-woke. Given these options, where does that leave the left? The average woke leftist has...
I think the left is lost. If they do not cut this communism shit out now, then I think the Democratic Party is going to obliterate itself, and that there's going to be like a two-party Democratic Party. There's going to be the fucking socialists, and then there's going to be, the middle-of-the-line mainstream Democrats. That's what I think is going to happen.
3 paths laid before them. Path 1, they can stay woke. They don't recant their beliefs, they continue to push LGBT, neopronouns, feminism, etc. unapologetically. Force it in schools, at the workplace, in movies.
You know what? Let's just get some middle ground here. The thing is, most of us agree with the loony liberals, the loony leftists, much more than you think you do. I still believe in unemployment, right? I still believe in food stamps. I believe in what's it called? For like single moms. Kind of weird that they did it for moms, but not for single dads. But whatever. Like I believe in these programs. I think that they are a good. But the thing is, that's good if you have. Well, no, I'm not talking about SNAP. SNAP is food stamps. It's the same thing. We had a high trust society, especially I loved the 90s. High trust society. Yeah, you had dicks everywhere as well, but you had a high trust society. If you don't have a high trust society, then those social programs do not work. And that's just a fact. Once you take the trust out, then that means the money needs to go. My personal opinion.
Desperately trying to spread propaganda of every institution they still control to see if their numbers can grow enough. But they won't. And they'll start losing more and more to non-woke leftists or right-wingers until they become irrelevant. And when the power struggle between the distant right and the third world really begins, they'll be the first to be gotten rid of, effectively making this option an act of self-destruction. That's always been the woke leftist specialty, so maybe they might go with it. Path 2, they become based. A niche, but...
I don't know. It wasn't until 2021 where I started waking up. And that took till 2023 for me to be like, okay, yeah, this is crazy. All the things I used to believe as an American, all the logic just pushed into my brain. And I was like, oh my God, I've been stupid for years. But the thing is, you have to find the people that aren't seeing this first. There's people out there that are what I'll call the try guy left. The try guys, they're liberal guys. I like them. I like watching their show. I disagree with some of their politics, but you watch them, they believe in trans rights, whatever. But the thing is, they really don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? I am still pretty stupid, Proctophile. In fact, I'm retarded. So keep that in mind. But you guys know what I mean? There's these left-wing Democrats who are technically fairly normal people. They have families, they have kids, and then they believe some of these things trans rights, universal health care, Republicans bad. They're a little too open with Republicans bad over the Try Guys. It's kind of weird. But they're nice guys. But they don't see the reality of what's happening inside their own bubble. They don't know how extreme it's getting. They're not seeing the roots of the rotten flowers that are growing in their backyard of California. You need to get the normal people that are kind of in that bubble. You have to grab their head, spin it, and be like, there's the shit. And then they're like, oh, where did that shit come from? And you just go, oh, it's always been there. And they're like, no. Well, I would have noticed it by now. We tried to tell you. Well, why didn't I look? Because you didn't look. Because you kept calling us racist, homophobe, transphobe. You kept calling us names and decided not to look. Well, now that you see it, you're going to do something about it? And then 2 years later, once they've seen enough, then they'll start doing something about it. That's what's going to happen. That's what happened with me. That's what happened with a lot of former lefty lunatics. I wasn't full-blown lunatic yet, but I was pretty there. But I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's a 2-year transition. I know it's funny when I say it that way. But anyway.
Increasingly common option these days, a lot of woke leftists have attempted to rehabilitate themselves, dropping their pro-immigration stance and some of their more insane cultural values, and then replacing it with nationalism. The combination of their economic policies with their newfound nationalism makes them oddly and perhaps deliberately similar to certain 20th century ideologies. It's rare because so much of leftist programming is about
We called that the 90s. 70s, 80s, and 90s, pretty chill. Pretty chill decades. I mean culturally. Pretty chill. Yes, there were issues, but pretty chill.
Whoring those certain 20th century ideologies, but it does happen. Generally, these people are treated by the dissident right with suspicion, but they can't afford to be picky with their allies. So the dissident right tolerates these based leftists, despite many believing that socialist policies are still innately subversive. Nationalism, however, remains non-negotiable. The moment one of these rehabilitated leftists starts advocating for something that sounds like civic nationalism, that is the belief that a nation is defined not by its people, but rather by the state bureaucracy, they're politically exiled. Path free. They become...
Yeah, the wolf in sheep's clothing. Maybe not intentionally, but once you get the goose, you'll always want the gander, right?
Woke 2.0. Woke 2.0 is a term coined in recent statements by high-profile leftist politicians, and it's being marketed as a less insane version of wokeness that puts less emphasis on cultural causes like the LGBT, while
Did I not understand the 1.0 and 2.0 shit? Did I totally misinterpret what Shoe on Head was saying? I thought 2.0 was the crazy people. Okay. All right. Whatever.
Maintaining the same economic policy and pro-immigration stance. That's the main difference between the previous option and this one. The previous option is loyal to their own nation and wants to bring about their supposed socialist utopia for their own people, recognizing that unlimited immigration makes the welfare state unsustainable. Meanwhile, this option is still globalist. Effectively, it's attempting to signal to the third world faction that the left are their allies and that they're willing to abandon the positions that the third world doesn't like. When people saw leftists admitting the death of woke 1.0 and calling it crazy, they thought that the right won the culture war. That is false. The third world won the culture war, not the right.
Oh God, that hurts. They came here, started having the anchor babies. Oh God. Spellbinder says woke 1.0 isn't over, it just changed gears. Well, that means that at least it had to go into hopefully a former gear. But I don't know. It's one thing getting rid of all the illegal migrants, right? So illegal migrants, then you go for the temporary status people. And I know that's kind of being taken care of right now. Apparently, we're getting rid of Ilhan Omar soon, so that's a bonus. And then, the people with green cards that are fucking up our system. And then we're left with the people that have become citizens and are ruining our country. Don't know how to legally get rid of them. Because I don't think you can.
And what does the third world faction actually want? It's varied because they're not homogenous, but they have enough aligned interests to be considered one political bloc for the time being. They want more immigration to continue so that they can continue to bring over their communities. They want more state welfare for them, more public housing, more gifts from the national treasury. After all, it's not their money they're taking to pay for these amenities, it's the locals' taxes. Their own tax contribution is often net negative. The third world also wants to be able to enforce their own rules in their communities,
not assimilating,
free from outside interference, which is why leftist politicians placate them by having two-tiered law enforcement and judges that are significantly more lenient with them than the locals. They want to see more of their own in positions of power and authority. And lastly, they don't want to see LGBT flags or pride parades or anything of that sort, which is why leftist politicians have been so keen on no longer bringing that stuff up.
You know, it is very interesting because, I still see, at least from my perspective, the trans shit, still going strong. But I guess he does have a point where you can say that the migrant issue has become a very odd voting bloc that kind of came out of nowhere. And it's a little disturbing, and it makes me wonder how long they've been doing this for. And it's potentially for the last 20 to 30 years.
The modern-day leftist campaign strategy for any place that has a large immigrant population is to simply put a foreigner from their ethnicity as the candidate and just promise all sorts of free
Huh. You called it, Spellbinder.
stuff paid for by the taxpayer. That way, they get the left-wing vote and the immigrant vote, which is usually able to win any urban election.
So essentially, they're inviting the immigrants, and the immigrants are getting rid of the, social lunatic lefties, the trans and the gay people, and then they're rewriting America in their image. And then the politicians that they elected that said, hey, we love trans people, are not stopping the new migrants from kicking them out of the party. So it becomes a Laura Bora, snaking in its own tail.
What cost them is having to not bring up the principles they've been championing for half a century. But understand, for many, this was the plan all along. The leftist leaders knew this would happen when they imported the third world. I find the alternative hard to believe, that some of the most powerful people on the planet were completely ignorant and blindsided by the third world's values. In truth, there was no culture war in the 2010s. There was a culture feint. While we were too distracted trying to argue what a woman is, or the fact that men shouldn't be competing against them in sports, one of the largest and most consequential demographic changes in history was taking place. And
it's like I said, it's kind of like it came out of nowhere, right? Like during the 2020s, migrants are a problem, but guess what? We were still worried about our kids getting their dicks chopped off, right? So, I'm sorry, we're going to care about the kids first. Ah, man, we don't know our left from our right. Or our genitals, apparently.
And people were too busy seeing it as just one of a myriad of issues. This was a war won without a fight. And notice how naturally the champions of the 2010s wokeness have abandoned their causes. The ease
abandoned. Uh-huh. Sure.
which they call their former positions crazy. Leftist politicians didn't stop being woke 1.0.
Yeah.
They never were. They simply took on the facade that would get them elected and their agenda pushed, because that's what a politician is, and their voters should have been aware. The woke crowd is no longer as relevant as it used to be, and a new demographic of voters have taken over their role as the base of leftist political support. The liberal den...
I said it. I frickin' said it. Get the political power, and then all the citizens that got you there, and then all the citizens that helped you bring in the migrants. Now that you got a bigger voting block, because guess what? The trans don't replicate very well. You get a population block to come into your area that populate real quick because you're giving them free shit. And then you have a voting block for the next 40 to 60 years.
was just a useful stepping stone in pursuit of this outcome. Now, his job is done, and his services are no longer required.
Damn. Damn. That was a really good one. I like his stuff. That was actually a lot more insightful than I thought.
Hey, thank you for watching this clip from my live stream. Please comment below, like, and subscribe. And be sure to subscribe to my main channel, where I do all these live streams, and have my independent videos where I do deep dives. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, you are somebody, I am nobody, and I hope you have a fantastic day.